watching W.Media and I'm Deborah. Joining me now is one of the most respected professionals in the cloud and data center industry, Mr. Mahesh Trivedi. Sir, let me first thank you by agreeing to be a part of W.Media's Cloud and Data Center
My
Convention
pleasure,
Awards
Deborah.
Mumbai. You were one of our speakers and our panelists. And there is such a wealth of knowledge. Every time I meet you, there's something new we get to learn. But before we go into the specifics, could you tell us where we are today as an industry in India, the cloud and data center industry, your overview of our maturity, where we are and where we can go from here?
So thanks, Deborah. I think over the past 5 years or so, the data centers in India have matured a lot. And when I say maturity, it's from multi aspects. It's to do with the designs we make, the operation techniques we adopt, the kind of customer services we deliver. So in that sense, we have matured a lot. It's very evident from the fact that all the major hyperscalers or the internet users or the payment gateways are all there in India in a big way, hosted with one or the other service provider. So in that sense, we are doing good. There can always be an improvement, of course. But right now, I think there's a big opportunity as a country, as a people, which we should not let go of. There are certain areas where we can still do better. And so that's where I think we should focus on.
What are these areas, these critical areas where we need to invest right now to make sure that the industry continues to function without a hitch?
Right. So until now, our focus was on the basic things like power and network and around that probably. That was the two main drivers. Of late, the dynamics have changed. If I talk of very basic things, things like safety while on the project or in operation, that's taken a big precedence. That's become so critical and important that without satisfying some minimum standards, you can't even enter a data center or a project site, which is very good because it does protect human lives, right? The second aspect we should, try and concentrate and focus on is quality. And when I say quality, it's generally a very open-ended statement, but I can quantify in more than one ways. It starts with your documentation to your actual design build to your actual delivery and your quality of service as well. So it encompasses the 360-degree view of the data center build, design, operation, and it covers each and every aspect of the data center. The third and most important thing, which has again come up in a big way, is the sustainability part. Companies have to commit certain things before they can even get major clients onboarded. It's not even a choice anymore. In fact, most of the service providers will be pushed to scope 3 very soon. Scope 1 and 2 are already covered by most of the major players. But scope 3 is something which is not directly under the colo or the service provider hands. It goes to their partners. But it has become an integral part of all their POs, is what I have seen in my previous assignment. And going forward, it would be the norm. Anybody wanting to do any work with a data center guy has to have some minimum commitment on the sustainability part.
So what is this, basic minimum commitment that you would like to see? Something that you'd like people to put, in black and white,
Right.
that this is, at least we'll do this much for sustainability.
Right. So if I were to quantify and place some tangible things, if I were to host with a service provider, if I was a hyperscaler, the minimum I would look for in a colo provider is some kind of either a IGBC or a LEED certification, which kind of gives me the confidence that certain green measures must have been taken to build this, which is a big thing, right? Similarly, there are operational sustainability matrices which we can follow. From a supply chain perspective, I would like to get my things procured from a environmentally sustainable factory. For example, there are certain factories which use recyclable packing or which use recyclable plastics or avoid plastic for that matter, minimize water consumption and things like that. These are very tangible things you can actually see, look, feel and report. So this is what I would like my partners associated with me to drive at. And as you rightly said, there are some 20 odd scientific based targets, what we call, for the sustainability. Even if you take 2, 3, 4 of them as per your company's appetite for doing it, because you have to ultimately achieve that, just not project it. So in that sense, if you can take 2, 3 at a time and demonstrate that, that's a good enough beginning for me. Then we can take it further down.
Now let's talk about people. In India, we have no dearth of people who are good at science and math. We have hundreds of engineering colleges. But are they able to train people adequately to become a part of this industry?
Yeah, that's been a challenge now for quite some time now for me, because I was, operating data centers, building, designing, everything. And the sad part is we don't have specific trainings, as you rightly said, around data centers. There are people like DCD or EPI or the uptime, which are not native. Let's be honest.
Hmm.
And with due respect to them, they may not know certain nuances, certain cultural challenges
True.
in imparting the right kind of trainings. One thing. Second thing is, I have attended most of those certifications. I've got them. Again, with due respect, those are book-based trainings. I would like to see more ground-based trainings. And there is a big gap right now. What we need to do is, and it requires multi-agency binding. Government has to provide some kind of an authority stamp. Industry has to provide investments for the equipment, and end users have to provide job employment opportunities, right? When you complete this, then you will set up an ecosystem where you will have trained manpower available. And believe me, it's a national talent pool, I would say. Doesn't matter today it's working with A provider, tomorrow definitely they will migrate to B provider. But then that happens in all industry. Why blame data centers, right? It's a universal human thing to do. You just migrate here and there. So that's not a challenge. The thing is that you are risking too much by, kind of hurrying into putting non-trained people on the job. You are not only risking your uptime and the equipment, you are risking lives, which is where my major concern is. So there should be some minimum training program each service provider should have before you can actually put a guy to handle this mission critical equipment and the kind of power densities we are talking about, right? It's very concentrated power in a small space, and then top it up we have plastic wires and PVC cables and diesel,
material.
yeah, and diesel stock. So you have to be very careful whom you are putting. At least they should know the don'ts, if not the do's, so they don't,
But do
commit.
we have something in place in terms of, minimum basic safety requirements? Like you said, safety is a big concern. And if you remember last month in Dhaka, there was a huge fire.
Yeah, that was.
And a lot of it had to do with the fact that, an older commercial building just had been haphazardly repurposed into a data
right.
center.
You are
So,
right.
are those checks and balances in place in terms of policies or at least best practices, which are, in your experience, are people actually critically looking at that?
So the sad part is no. They do have some minimum checklist, but they don't go to implementing those in the spirit of the letters. They do a checklist. I mean, tick, 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 which is not the way you should go
Very
about it.
superficial.
Very superficial. You should dig deep and find out what if scenarios and try and mitigate those risks. The sad part is we don't even try to find out if there is a risk. We just assume that because it's ticked, it's not there.
Is it probably because we don't really have a design thinking oriented approach? We just have a let's figure it out and just solve the problem.
Yeah.
Chalta hai, khatam karo, jugaad.
Yeah, so typically we are known to do that. Take things and mend it and repair it on the fly,
Yeah.
which is a risky thing for a place like a data center.
It's a very critical industry.
Right. And the amount of power is humongous. People should realize that the power density is very high, and a small spark or a small short circuit can really cause a disaster. So I think some effort should be put in there to be oriented. That's where the quality comes in. When I said quality, that's one of the aspects of quality. That you design it just a little bit more than the minimum requirement. It's okay, you comply, but can't you do it something better? So go that way. Keep that in mind when you design, as you rightly said.
And have formal industry standards to adhere to. Have they been formalized, the standards, the minimum basic requirements?
So, as a data center industry, no.
That's what.
We have. That's another challenge for data centers. See, it's a mix of electrical, mechanical, firefighting systems, DG sets, standby power, UPSs, batteries.
Yeah.
Now there are individual codes available, but the challenge for data center is it's a live, dynamic thing.
Exactly.
Where one thing affects the other thing. It's
all connected.
It's all connected. Somebody has to realize the gravity of that and formulate your operations and your safety precautions, taking that entire chain in mind rather than individual battery protection or a transformer protection. And that is missing, I feel, yeah.
So in that sense, it is from the human factor. It's the people who are not really thinking about this.
Yes, people are not thinking, and I think thinking comes from the fact that there is a training there. If a guy is trained and he knows, then he will act upon it. He doesn't even know. The guy is thrown, okay, you go and man the shift today. There are 10 generators, 2 transformers, 5 switchboards, go and manage it. These are the readings you are supposed to take. Nobody tells him how difficult or how risky it is to go, how near, how far,
No.
right? What touch, what not to touch. He uses his common sense. There are, of course, volumes of paper, SOPs, MOPs written. Who reads, how much they understand, whether there is a cross-check, updated document. So there are a lot of loose ends. I'm not saying it's totally bad, but there is a lot of scope of improvement is all I'm saying here. And the starting point should be formalized trainings. We should have institutions, which run this. Now it's always a chicken and egg. If you have 5 people attending, it doesn't make sense for the institute to run that. The professor's salary and the infra cost is more.
Also, even when they go to these data centers where they are trained, retrained, they learn, they unlearn a lot. That investment also, if they jump jobs in like 2 years, then even the companies feel like, why should we invest?
That's the precise challenge we have. See, these foreign certifications, as I was mentioning, are not cheap. The moment you do that, it reflects in his CV and he's on LinkedIn looking out. So it's a double-edged sword. But my holistic thing is that let's start similar exercises, courses in India. By the way, I have reached out to CII, BEEE, and I have reached out to government of Maharashtra. We are talking to some industry guys like Vertiv, Schneider, Kirloskar, to help us set up training institutes. So what we are planning to do is set up a mock data center where the guys can really have a look and feel of what they will be encountering when they go there. They will learn the do's and don'ts. They will learn some good practices. And I'm sure if they are trained good, once they enter a new site, they will come up with a lot of improvement ideas. So that's where we are aiming to. It's a long thought process. Involves, as I said, multiple agency involvement, some investments. Some may pay back, some may not. There has been industry will around it. So,
but you have to be able to bet on yourself at the end of the day.
That's what I keep on telling my guys. That why don't you look at it very, focused on yourself. That I'm improving myself. Whether you end up contributing to the company, to the country, is far bigger thoughts. So one of the things long time back when we were a small company, I was the one conducting fire drills.
Oh.
Why? Because I had done some civil defense training, and so I knew to operate those gadgets, those fire extinguishers. I knew their chemistry. I've learned a lot. So I used to impart it myself. And the least I used to say to the female folks in the company is that there may be a kitchen fire and you may be saving your life or your family's life. At least for your sake, come, listen, learn. You will never know in that 50, 60 years of life cycle, you may save one life. Somewhere it's worth it, I'm telling you. So that's the kind of spirit you should have when you learn something. That once in a lifetime, even if I use, for example, in every flight they tell you, try this oxygen mask. Why? If once in a blue moon it has to happen, it could save lives. That's the only intent there, right? So that's what I keep on saying to my staff, my junior staff, my ground staff. Learn. Nobody can take that away from you at least. They will take your job away, your salary away.
It's the one wealth that can't be stolen.
Exactly. So I said, learn, improve.
But there is also fear. I'm glad we're talking about, the human factor. But there are people who are also afraid of AI taking away their jobs, stealing their jobs. Because, there is a boom. There's AI, there's ML, there's IoT. And all of these technologies have contributed to growth of the industry also. But there's increased automation because of Industry 4.0. And people fear that, if we let this take over, we'll lose our jobs.
So people should keep on reskilling themselves, I would say. Not upgrade, reskill. For example, I'll give you a live example. I went to Europe a few months back, and there was this guy who used to work for an IT company. He somehow lost his job, it seems. And he was in a foreign country, his visa was still valid, he was struggling to get a new job. And guess what he did? He started delivering food parcels. For all you know, he may be earning more there, for all you know. And for all you know, it may lead to bigger things like opening his own cloud kitchen. I mean, you should be open to such ideas and disruptions. You reskill yourself. Totally different field, right? He was an IT support guy, delivering food packets. And he didn't seem a bit upset about it. He was so happy about it.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you're working hard to earn your own money. You
Yes.
should never be ashamed of
So what
it.
I'm trying to say is, for example, the guards.
Yeah.
I'll give you a simple example.
Yeah.
The guards we deploy in data centers are slightly better than what we used to have 10 years back guarding the buildings, who had no clue about access control or cameras. They all got smart over the period, right? And now the minimum criteria for a data center guard is a graduate with English speaking knowledge and all, basic knowledge of PC or laptop, right? See, so it has led to something new, and who all were first there made it good. Who all got left behind, well, up to them.
So you're saying technology is not your enemy, you should use it to empower yourself?
It will throw up more opportunities. As I said, Swiggy is a new opportunity. Nobody knew of it. All the Uber Olas were never known before. They are new opportunities. Did some people lose job? I don't think so. They volunteered to go into that because of better service, better payments or whatever. So you never know where it will lead to. I'm sure today it looks like it will be disruptive. Tomorrow you may have more opportunities arising out of that.
So internationally, if we compare, the more mature markets to India, what do you think India's journey will be now, like compared to say markets in Southeast Asia or the even more mature markets in US and Europe? Where do we stand now, and are we headed in that direction? Should we even compare ourselves to them, or do we have a unique journey?
So, simple answer is we should have a unique journey. We have certain USPs which are unique to us. For example, most of the guys I have worked with have let's make it happen attitude, right? We hardly look at our watches or the time of the day or the Sunday, Saturday. We slog it out, let's be honest. I'm not saying it's necessarily good or bad, but that's our USP. We pride on that somehow. Although I'm not a big fan of it myself, but we pride on it. The other day I challenged some of the panelists. We made it happen in 12 months. I said, where's the hurry? Which bus are you trying to catch? Is there a fire out there? If we all are seeing projections of 500 times the present requirement, where is the hurry? Everybody will get their share of pie. So why are we rushing into things? Let's take it calmly and easily. Why build stress? Why compromise quality, safety, directly or indirectly, knowingly, unknowingly? Take your time. Do a good job. Come out of it. Do another job, one at a time. But our mentality is such. We don't want to let even a single order go away, right? Why not? But there are many orders coming up. Don't worry. So that's.
But you are a fan of work-life balance then.
I'm a big fan of it. But in general, our industry is, we did it first. We did it faster. And they count it as a USP. I don't think that's the way. But in global life,
younger generations are becoming more and more open to it, right? Say the millennials and the Gen Z who are now coming out, they are more open to the idea of let's be a little more balanced about our approach to life.
Well, I think generally yes, but our industry won't allow them to do that.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe it's a matter of time, because right now we are at that place where the demand is far bigger than the supply we can make. For example, if we keep on building the data center at the rate we are doing today, it will be 5 years before we can serve the present demand as we stand today. So in that 5 years, there will be another pent-up demand, which may not be as phenomenal as we have today, but definitely there is a big delta there again to cover. So that's the kind of, I'll tell you the reasons again. We have finite locations where we go with data centers because of various reasons: geography, political, infra, manpower, whatnot, customer preference, cable sea landing, and various reasons. But whatever be the reasons, the matter of, the crux of it is that we are limited to these 4 or 5 metros and 2 side metros like Pune and Hyderabad.
No, but edge data centers are coming up in tier 2, tier 3 places.
So edge is a different ballgame. Again, I'm a big fan of edge. The sooner we roll out edge as a service, the better. Right now, the way I see it, all the major data center players are too busy serving the hyperscalers. As I said, there's a big gap. And what the hyperscalers have done is distributed the orders to every player in some or the other way, keeping everyone busy. So they are too busy doing that, and everybody has been told, you do this good, I'll give you the other order. Right? So everybody is on their feet trying to cater to this big demand which has come up. Matter of time before the same edge guys or the other cloud players or AI or gaming guys or on streaming media guys will ask for edge. And then suddenly there will be a huge, again, a kick in the demand for edge is what I feel. Right now, if you ask me, my personal opinion, I may be totally wrong, None of the bigger players in the industry in India are geared up to deliver quality edge immediately in volume.
Which is sad because India has a huge MSME sector.
Yes.
A lot of them are very tech savvy as well,
Yes.
and that is in a way the backbone of the Indian economy.
Yes.
And they are probably, in my opinion, served better by edge.
Yes. And they are the right guys to go to. The problem is twofold. One is, how do you convince your edge and the client, which could be a hyperscaler asking for an edge, that after going to an MSME, you will still hold all the quality, safety, SLAs in place, right? I mean, if you can convince and front end that, or that guy has to be strong enough to do it himself, which may not be the case right now as I see it, matter of time again. But if somebody, the big player and the colo can do that openly, transparently with his end client, this is where I get it done. But that's the model in US. You were asking a while back. So in the US, the same colo player has a very matured outsource model, which they actually outsource and get it done. The only thing they have control is on the quality and the delivery. The pricing is of course prefixed because of the rate contract. So that's the best way to go about it. Best way. Keep the SMEs involved, motivate them, give them enough business. They will put their heart and soul into it. They will deliver you everything. You can be assured of the quality of the timely supply, and the customer gets value. Amazing way to go. I really like that idea.
Finally, sir, you have been a speaker at our Mumbai W.Media CDC. You were also a part of a panel here today. What was your experience like? What was the most exciting part?
I just like to listen to people. You know, the kind of ideas, the various problems, if you call them that, the various solutions. It's so interesting. Just when you think you know it all, there is a new thing coming up. That can we have that also? Why not this? It keeps you on your toes, and that's the part I love. The second good part about this particular event you conduct around in India is that the profile of the attendees is too good. I would say they are the cream of the industries, right? I mean, the speakers, see them. I mean, all major players, CEOs, MDs were here. It could be anybody. You just pick it out. Everybody is the who's who of the data center industry in India. That is what lends a lot of credibility to the event, right? And that's what draws, not only the vendors but the attendees as well. So that's the exciting part. Every time you meet them, there's a new thing they come up with. Every time you meet some vendor, they come with a new technology. And every time you meet an end user, he comes with a new problem. It's an amazing forum, I would say. I just hope that you keep it going. And while on the thing, I recommended this to Navin last time also. Why don't we start a training institute or a training program like the DCD guys did? I think it's a good time we did that.
Hold that thought. We might actually give.
And I'm ready to contribute in whatever capacity and way I can.
That does sound exciting. This is, of course, one of the many exclusive sit-down interviews we are holding here at the Mumbai CDC. Many more to come through the day, so stay tuned. Until then, in Mumbai, I'm Deborah.
Thanks.